a one-time thing. This is an opportunity. It's not a one-time thing. This is an opportunity for us to invest in our future. And if we see, and I'm not saying this is exactly what we need, but let's keep an open mind. If we invest in special education or gifted and talented, we have the opportunity of retaining some of the students that may or may not have been outplaced. Certainly not going to, every child will not be able to be educated in this facility, although we'd like it, but it's never going to happen. But if we can bring a few back, but we need the infrastructure, we need to invest in that. That's what I'm looking at this as an opportunity, not a one-time thing, because that investment will pay off for years and years and years. Just like we're going to the town and saying, let's do something on the economic side, this is something we're doing for the school that will pay off for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking that before you say you're not going to support it, keep an open mind and let's discuss it.
Yeah, I guess let me just restate one thing. I will have an open mind. Again, just seeing this for the first time laid out like this, I need to see more information, what it's going to be. And again, this is a starting point.
Absolutely. This is the first that any of us
Very
have seen
open-minded.
this, and it's going around. I have one question. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you could clarify the middle school and the high school. What are the vice principal's position now? Are they both part-time, and does the high school vice principal, does he share the position?
The high school assistant principal also has the half-time curriculum director responsibilities. And we looked at this closely, but you know, it's possible that the high school also needs a full-time, but right now the high school has the lowest enrollment. You know, you're looking at significantly lower enrollment than the middle school, and especially the elementary school. So that's how I prioritize it.
Okay, thank you.
My question is directed towards Mr. Birch. Make sure you're staying awake over there. Our enrollment fluctuates, but one thing that doesn't change is the footprint, the size of the property, and we have an aging facility now.
Even the new part is aging.
Even the new part, and we're aging too. But is this what you need to keep this building running?
That's what I need to keep this building running? To keep it running. Not necessarily, there are a few items in this budget that are for long overdue improvements, the high school gym floor, the exercise room floor. You know, I think one of those runs around 30,000, the other one runs around 20. As far as the long-term major improvements, no, it does not address it. Some of that will be addressed with the building project, the roofs, the oil tanks, those will be addressed, but we can get some reimbursement. There's a long-term plan out there for over $5 million for pointing of the masonry that we hope to implement a little bit at a time, a section at a time to get it done, because, you know, we haven't done it since 1960. To answer your question in short, it's what we need to keep it, going. To maintain. Which I might add is better than we have done in the last 14 years that I've been here, because we haven't maintained.
Thank you. Other questions from the board? Jody.
To follow up on that, is there, can you come back to the board with your top 3 wish list items, just to see what they are, and the length and the cost?
Yeah, sure.
No, I think that's good.
He's always got a wish list, but it's not going to be hard.
Go ahead.
I also have a question for you, Mr. Birch. How about the heating in the elementary, throughout all 3 schools? You know, I'm focusing on the high school because, you know, I've heard, you know, the fluctuation of the temperature in the classrooms, you know, students wearing jackets, wearing blankets. You know, I'm I'm just wondering, is there anything to help fix that? Or is there money in the budget to look at that?
Well, I have to answer you, there's nothing broken.
Can we raise
The building facility has totally adequate heating equipment. If we choose, or if you choose, as a board and as a town, to keep this building at 75 or 80 degrees, I'm pretty confident we can do it. We have to realize, though, that, again, just like special education costs, we are in a very good position this year. We purchased oil at $1.46 a gallon last April. Several years ago, fuel oil was almost $4 a gallon. If we go all the way back to about 2004, we came to the realization that to raise the temperature in this building, and not just the high school, not just the elementary school, not just a classroom, but the entire facility, to raise it 1 degree would be the cost of a teacher. And at that time, the board, which I only see one member of that board that's still here, made the decision that we would hold the building at 65 degrees.
Is that temperature at 65 at night? And I'm just asking
No.
because, okay.
Oh, no, at night we set back to 62.
Okay.
And we've made a significant investment in building controls so that we can do that, so that we can set the building back to 62 at night, so that we can set it back on the weekends when there's a school vacation, so that we can set it back, because it all comes down to gallons of oil.
I can understand that, but there are some students that are doing, they're looking at the temperature at night. They're taking different temperatures, and for some rooms, they're 75 at night and lower in the 60s during the day. And that's with how many
And that's
bodies
very,
per classroom.
and that's a reasonable answer, because the other thing we do is that, particularly after the last building project, we added a lot of ventilation to this building. I have to say that when I came here in 2003, before we built any of this, we went through the middle school, the existing elementary school, and what we found was that all of the ventilation that had been originally designed into the building was all shut off, and it was stuffed with insulation. Because during the oil embargo and the energy crisis in the early 70s, again, it all came down to the price of oil. They decided, well, if we don't bring all this cold, fresh air in January and February, then we're not going to burn that oil. Unfortunately, though, that means that the CO2 levels in the school were at 1,200 parts per million, and I don't even know what those effects might have been. So we opened up that ventilation. When we did the new building project, we added a lot of additional ventilation. You know, ASHRAE standards for school is 18 cubic feet per minute per person. So if by design you say there might be 25, 30 kids in the classroom, you have to add all that outside air, even if it's zero. So we went another step further, and we added CO2 detectors into the return, so that the systems actually know how many people are in the classroom, and we modulate it that way. So we bring in a lot of fresh air. Hopefully it keeps everybody healthier. But then at night we turn all that fresh air off, because again, that's a lot of money. So we shut it down, and then the building warms up.
Thank you for explaining that.
So it goes down to 62 at night.
62 is the set point.
When does it start going back up to 65? So when the
We
kids come in,
come back online at 4 a.m.
so that's enough time for it to come up to 65?
in general. Can I guarantee you that every single spot,
No.
every single day? No,
Well,
but
that's what I was gonna say.
That's warmer than my house, but maybe that's why I'm divorced. 60, mine goes to 64.
We will have a ventilation unit or a heat providing unit where the fan dies and it creates a problem. But Mr. Birch gets
We
on
have
it
to-
immediately.
We have to remember that we've got 380,000 square feet of occupied space. That's occupied space. We have 6 boiler rooms, we have 13 boilers running here, at least we did a little while ago. I can't guarantee right now they are. So there is a lot of equipment. There is a lot of equipment to keep your eyes on and keep it maintained. No, not every single bit of it runs perfectly every single day.
That's the key point.
I just think our concerns are, when I went to parent teacher conference, I don't have any kids in the system right now, but teachers had gloves on. So it is cold, and I've heard the same thing about the kids having to wear coats.
But it happens on occasion when there's a,
Okay.
But I think that's a totally different conversation. We know the equipment works. If we want to, as a board, talk about raising that, and we know the consequences, then we can talk about that. But it's a good point, thank you. Other comments, questions on this? Members of the public, is there any comment or questions you would like? Yes?
Christine Campbell, I have a few questions. First question is, in this year's budget, are all of the bus driver expenses normally built into it as usual, as if we weren't going to look at outsourcing?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, I see a lot of positions being requested here, yet no full-time paras were put back in the kindergarten classes. I am absolutely appalled. This is absolutely needed. I think that if you put a full-time para back in the kindergarten classroom, you probably wouldn't need a math interventionist, a reading interventionist, and possibly a certified behavior analyst. We need to focus on one-on-one time with the teacher, which is what would happen when there was a para in the classroom. My children had full-time paras when they were in kindergarten. I feel very strongly about this. I don't understand why that wasn't one of the first priorities. It doesn't make any sense to me. You have behavioral problems. If there's a full-time para in the classroom, you have an extra adult in the classroom that you can nip these things in the bud. You can turn these children around when they're kindergartners and not have to try to fix something later on. It should be about prevention and putting into the child. Why is that not even being put back in the budget?
Well, that's why I asked the question, and that's why I said this earlier, this is the first we're seeing of this, and that is, always has been a priority to get those positions back as soon as we possibly can. So, again, nothing has been decided, and that's why I asked.
Okay, a few more things. So 230 Thompson residents attend other schools, and Thompson Public Schools has some financial responsibility. What financial responsibility do you have for homeschoolers exactly?
If they decide to come back into school, there's a potential. We do not have responsibility for everyone listed here. There is a potential if any or all decide to come back. We do have some financial responsibility for Ellis, for FOAG, for St. Joe's, really nothing for Marionopolis, nothing for homeschool, but any one of these 230 could come back at any time.
And how does that cause a financial responsibility to the school? That makes no sense.
If they came back,
If they came back, it's like a public school child enrolling. If they moved into town and they enrolled in school, it doesn't cost.
if 230 kids came back, I'm being ridiculous, but if 230 came back, you don't think it would cost the school a few bucks?
You're going to get your state funds back that you lost when I pulled my kids to homeschool them. So respectfully, I request that this homeschooling comes off of this paperwork because it is a big fat goose egg. You and I know that.
It's not costing the school anything right now,
Exactly.
but there is a potential, just like the rest of them, and it'll stay there.
But you also can say that somebody entering the school system would cost. So,
Sure.
okay, next. After last year's tax increase to make us at a 26.06 mil increase, with a total of 26.06, and a decrease in special needs this upcoming year, from what I understand, it would leave a $400,000 surplus. Is that what I?
That's the approximate, yeah.
Okay, so there should be a zero increase in this year's budget, because I would think that the 400,000 would go a long way to cover increases in salaries and normal routine increases every year. And I guess that's about it, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the public? Mr. Croto? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, my name is Rhonda Rooney, 13 Main Street. I have 3 students, well, one that actually recently graduated. Just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a big picture, long-term growth type of person. I'm about leadership, growth, unity, love, efficiency, awesomeness, and I want to commend you on wanting to make our school the best school in the district. That being said, I have a few questions that I wanted to ask. One of them is, some of the most successful businesses in the world have a culture associated to them, and I wanted to know, what is our culture from kindergarten to 12th grade? Do we have that?
I had trouble with the slides, but if we looked at the board's mission and vision, it talks about providing a safe, nurturing, supportive culture. I don't have it in front of me, but it's on the first page, I think.
Rhonda, did you get this?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Also, out of the students that are leaving the school system, the 230, how many of those kids are in high school?
In high school,
Yes.
The majority of them are.
would be Killingly, Boag, the middle college,
Ellis, Mary.
Ellis, so probably, I'm not sure what the enrollment is at St. Joe's and how many Thompson students are there. That's something with that, we break out, like, we could get to you.
So another question, I know you may not have the answers to all these questions, but if those kids were to stay within the school system here in Thompson, with the teachers that we have and the classroom size that we have now, would the costs be around the same because the classes wouldn't be full, therefore operating at optimal efficiency?
There would possibly be the need to add additional teachers. It's difficult to quantify at this point. If you look at the interest areas, for example, for Killingly Boag students, if we were to provide to their interest area, we would have to add positions. When I came here, we had 3 vocational education teachers, and now we're down to 1. So if we were to bring those students back, we'd have to add teachers. I think that, one point that gets lost sometimes is with the out-migration to the vocational schools, part of it is that we had to cut vocational programming here.
Okay,
I'm just going to come over there so I can hear you better.
Foreign language can also be affected.
Yep.
as far as the high schools, what sets Turtle Lot apart from the other options available with the other schools? What would make them want to come here as opposed to the other school?
We have a copy of the U-book. It's all right here, just produced.
Thank you.
Have a look.
Awesome, perfect. Let's see. I just want to commend you on the high graduation rate. I think that's awesome. That's really important that kids graduate from high school. And so I wanted to know, other than that, what does the end product of the Turtle Lot graduate look like?
Well, we're doing alumni focus groups. We bring students back who are in college right now, coming back to meet with our seniors to try and share their experience, what was positive, what was negative. And each year we produce a listing of how many students go on to higher education, what percentage, what scholarships do they receive. The rate of scholarships that students receive is quite significant. And we have a career day. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to
I did
attend.
participate.
I believe, I'm pretty sure we had about 110 graduates come back to share what their careers are. Everything from doctors, lawyers, accountants, nurses, a whole range of professionals who have been through our schools. So we do continue that tradition of sharing that information.
Okay. And then, let's see, as a school and a culture and to keep our students here at Turtle Lot once they graduate from the 8th grade, again, what is attracting them to stay, and who are we seeking to attract as a school Obviously, with the budgets coming out in the last couple of years, we're having a problem supporting the school budget from the town, and that's really important so that we can get the funding that we need to continue on and make Turtle Rock the best school in the district. How are we working towards getting our high school classrooms full so that they're operating at ultimate efficiency? And for people that may be moving into the town or questioning should we move to Putnam, Killingly, somewhere in the quiet corner, what are we doing to attract these people to say, I'm going to move to Thompson because I want to go to Turtle Rock?
Well, we hope that view book will help, and that is online. And one of the key points that I think needs to be made is that Turtle Rock High School, Memorial High School, is fully accredited by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. And it was fully accredited on the first shot. We were not on probation, not on warning status. If you look at that accreditation report, the high school under Ms. Baker's leadership was commended for about 20 different areas, ranging from the personalization of the environment, the opportunity for a range of curriculum opportunities. I think the most important thing we have to sell is Turtle Rock High School, Memorial High School, is a school where everybody knows your name. You come here, you're embraced by the staff, they know who you are, and they work to your individual needs.
Mr. Krogel, did you have something?
Oh, you know my name?
We all know your name.
Many of things. I wish you luck on presenting this budget and getting it through. A long process. It will be. And I hope a lot of people become involved in it. As for spending money, I do believe that there should be paras in the elementary school. I don't know how many students are in each classroom. I don't know how well they're behaved or not behaved. But if you have 20 kids in one class when they're 4 and 5 years old, it's got to be helpful. So, that said, I hope we can do something along those lines. I don't like seeing taxes go up or anything else, but we got to teach responsibility at an early age. As for buses, I would like to inform you that the bus drivers are hoping to negotiate with you this year. You should be getting formal notification within a couple of days. That said, when we come down to comparing the bids of the outsourced, of the private companies to the current drivers and their union contract, I hope all figures can be in place. Right now, Mr. Bean was nice enough to give me the draft today of the costs. There's some questions I do have for him, but overall, it's nice to have a start. I do have a concern, though, that it's only a draft, and if the Board of Ed was thinking that it was cheaper to go out to privatization, I figured they would have these figures in a long time before secure. That said, the only other thing we have to think about is, Dr. Jolen, I have heard you on the radio say a few times, you've come to an agreement with the bus drivers, giving you the right to look into outsourcing and everything else. That said, I hope the people realize that, yes, there was an agreement made at a cost of $100,000 buyout to the bus drivers if the school does privatize. And I would hope that figure would be calculated into the total cost of what it's going to be. That's all. And is anyone going to be back next Monday?
Yes.
I'll be here.
What time?
6:30.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday,
No,
next Tuesday.
It's Monday. I'm kidding.
Monday. It's Monday.
Trying to get ready. No.
You don't want to see me again.
I know. No, we're meeting on Monday. We're doing a walkthrough on Monday. At 5:30, we're doing a walkthrough through the building.
At what time?
5:30.
5:30.
And then we're meeting here, what time? 6:30.
Bill, is there a way that we can also look at having 1 or 2 Saturdays? It was brought up from different parent groups
Saturdays.
as a possible budget workshop.
I guess if it works for everyone, we could do it.
Maybe that, we'll talk about it at the communication committee, but.
Okay. Other comments, questions? week. You can bring your questions next week too. Yes?
A few comments, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you come up a little closer so we can hear you, please?
First in Creighton, Sandiam Road, I have a couple of daughters in the middle school. One will be advancing up to the high school next year. Not really any questions, just a few quick comments. You're talking about getting in a full-time assistant principal for the middle school. I think that would be great. But I do want to comment on Mr. Scott. I had to go to the school to drop something off this morning, and he was standing there at the door with his sign with a big smiley face saying good morning. And I just think he's doing a great job. I hope if we do get a full-time vice principal, he doesn't step back from that too much because kids love it. And it was a great start to my day. I wish my boss would greet us every day at the door like that. The other thing was the math interventionist. More of a comment again. There's something called 2E, twice exceptional. A lot of people probably aren't familiar with the term, but you can be gifted and be in special ed. That does happen. I know my daughter's on a 504 plan. She has trouble with executive function, organizing, but she is spectacular at math. So I hope that if you do get a position in like that, that they do also consider working with kids that